after being diagnosed to kind of you wanted to feel more in control. So you kind of decided, all right, I'm going to record all this myself and build out a home studio.
Yeah.
And you kind of meticulously kind of recorded every instrument for the album. And then I believe later in the process, you brought in some studio musicians on, I think, the rhythm section, I believe.
Yeah, the rhythm section, but at first it's like, and you were young when you were diagnosed, so maybe you didn't have this, but maybe you came to it later. But there's once it hits you, what's going on and what's going to happen eventually, and that you have no idea how long that's going to take. I think it's normal to have to have some pretty catastrophic thinking tendencies,
I've thought every bad thought,
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get them out there.
Yeah.
Well, thinking doesn't necessarily get them out there. Talking about it does. But yeah, I mean, I think both myself and my wife, though I don't want to speak too much for her, we went to a pretty catastrophic place post-diagnosis. And, my personal place was, how am I going to be an effective father? Am I going to be able to help support my family? Mm-hmm. And then my job is traveling the world and I'm in new environments all the time. How am I going to be able to go work in a new recording studio and not know that I'm going to knock shit over or, so I just felt like I needed to regain some kind of creative agency that I had kind of signed away with that sort of catastrophic mindset, in the wake of my diagnosis. And so I came down here to my studio and, you can't really, you can see how far the wall is behind me. It's, the walls are that far away all around. It's very small. It's, 10 by 12 maybe. Yeah. And it's packed full of stuff. So the actual floor space here is probably 5 by 5. And there's a big there's a big office chair in the middle of it. And I can kind of swivel around and all the mics are kind of set up and I can kind of plug things in and be working, almost at the speed of inspiration is kind of how I wanted to do it.
That's awesome.
And I came down here and I was just like, can I make this work? Yeah. Can I make this sound like music? Because most of the stuff that I'd done previously is getting a bunch of musicians in a room and pressing record, and you capture the moment, and you try and bottle the lightning to a certain extent, This approach that I was doing down here, as opposed to everything happening simultaneously, it was happening sequentially. So I would work on the drums first, and then I would work on the, maybe an acoustic guitar rhythm, and then I would add a vocal in, on top of that so that I knew where the vocal was and I didn't step on that with any of the other parts. And then I'd just start kind of filling things out one instrument at a time. And the first 3 or 4 or 5 songs that I did like that felt like exercises. They didn't feel, they sounded fine, but they didn't make me feel anything other. All I could feel was like, oh, I should have done this differently with that mic or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I remember there was a song where I played it back after I was finished tracking it, and I just kind of teared up a little bit. I got a little emotional, and I was thinking about what I was expressing in the song. I wasn't thinking about the mic technique or the engineering or any of that. And I was like, oh, I just made music by myself. I didn't know that I knew that I could do guitar and vocal by myself. I do that all the time, but I made the whole band, And once I realized that was possible, I got fairly obsessed by it because I felt like, well, this is my way to kind of beat back that catastrophic mindset. I'm not going to be prevented from doing this. Yes, there may be some things that I can't do and places that I can't get to, but I can do it here and I can do it very well here. Mm-hmm. And I can do it in a way that feels meaningful to me and hopefully meaningful to others. And, so that was months and months of, almost daily recording. And just as you work through your emotions and realize that, it's not quite as catastrophic as you had originally envisioned. You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not in the darkness. There's always a light. There's always somebody that you can call or that you can turn to.
Well, kind of, I've for those listening, I've had the opportunity to listen to Mark's new album, and it's a beautiful album. Super crisp and clean production, great songwriting and lyrics, all around great album.
Thanks,
Definitely
man.
check it out when it's out, February 3rd. But
Yeah,
that kind of
thanks.
reminded me of a lyric. I think it's my favorite song off the album was "Fuel for the Fire."
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was my personal favorite. But it's like the lyric was, "You can't live in fear, but you can use it as fuel for the fire."
You can't live in fear, but you can use it as fuel for the fire. Fuel for the fire. Yeah.
And that's kind of what it reminds me of, is like, that kind of RP kind of supercharged you to kind of try something new. And then once you pulled it off, it felt like a huge victory, and it's
Absolutely.
like, and it's those moments that kind of make you realize, okay, I'll have to explore, I'll have to try things differently, but maybe I just need to think about something in a little different way than I'm used to doing it.